Alright, so I have my crossguard cutouts. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint this kind of a shade that looks like wood, because most Gladiuses have a wooden crossguard. Now is your chance to use your creativity and add some embellishment to your design. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out a thin strip of foam using the fun foam I mentioned earlier to make it look like there is a strip of metal that is hammered onto the wooden crossguard. What I also did is I used a quarter and I drew out some circular designs which will contain, inside the circle is going to have the Roman imperial hawk symbol. Obviously you can do your own design, but for me I chose to go with the hawk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out each of these designs. Now the oval that I made is a 5" by 3" oval, so that comes out to be about 13 inches when I'm trying to make a strip long enough to cover that. Of course, it's always better to cut longer than shorter, because when you have a longer than you need, you can actually just cut away the excess. But if you have a shorter one, then you're gonna have to redo it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue the strip around the crossguard. Again, once it comes time to paint it, it will look like a piece of metal that is hammered onto your wooden crossguard. Okay, so that's what I want to do. As you can see, I have a little bit left over, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut away the excess. Alright, so I'm also going to cut out each of these designs, starting with the spheres, or the circles, I mean. Alright, so now that I have all the little pieces cut out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue them onto my crossguard, starting with the strip that I did. So it's going to wrap around the crossguard like so. And again, if you can imagine, once you get the Plastidip on and start painting this, this will look like it is covered by a metal strip. Okay, so again, I still have to cut off the excess, and what you want to do is you want to put these discs on underneath that. Okay, and then after that you want to go ahead and glue the eagle onto the discs like so, and you want to do that to the other one as well, and that way you'll have a finished crossguard. So now you just have to go ahead and attach it onto your weapon. Okay, so we have our crossguard pretty much ready. I put glue on here and I drilled a hole through the middle of it, so that way we can go ahead and glue it onto our sword. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and glue the crossguard like so. Alright. Hopefully it's centered enough. Alright, so it's good enough. It's centered enough. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take the little dog chew toy that I mentioned earlier. I drilled a hole in the center of that, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it at the end of your weapon. So that way, it's starting to look more like a Gladius. Okay, so now that we have the crossguard and a pommel glued onto the sword, what we're going to need to do is bulk up the pommel a little bit so that it's not so that the proportion looks right. This part is a little bit difficult. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a 1/2 inch of open cell foam. You can purchase this from craft stores such as Joann's or Michael's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically use it and cover up the pommel like so, and I'll go ahead and cut off the excess and then glue it to the ball. This part isn't an exact science, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically cut away as much as we can so that we can have a nice little thin round sheet. Alright, so I cut out the shapes that I want that will cover my pommel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start applying DAP to the foam itself. And a quick refresher course on how DAP works. In order to glue two surfaces together, you must apply the glue on both surfaces. Allow it to dry for about 20 minutes until it becomes tacky. Then you'll have a good strong hold. But if you don't wait the 20 minutes or so, you're not going to get the results that you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put DAP on this surface, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it onto the ball of my pommel. By doing so, it will bulk up your pommel, and it will also create a softer surface, so that way you will not injure somebody if you happen to hit them accidentally with your pommel. Okay, so make sure you cover the entire surface with DAP. Okay, so now that the glue has dried, we're going to go ahead and glue it to the ball of your pommel, and hopefully everything sticks together the way they should, and you'll end up with a nice ball for a pommel. And of course, you can always use your scissors to trim off the excess. So you're gonna end up with something that looks like this as a pommel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and continue to elaborate and embellish our pommel so that it looks a little bit better. And that's the fun part